Oh god, this is hilarious. This really is. Also, today I just happened to come across a video done by Irate Gamer. I'm sure everyone knows in the gaming community of YouTube knows who he is. Irate Gamer. He's the guy who basically was inspired by the angry video game nerd. But not only that, instead of just being simply inspired and then doing his own stuff, he decided to, I would say probably like 95% of the time, be a complete ripoff. And he's basically made a living off of doing just that. But the funny thing is, I just came across a video that he made recently, basically thanking some YouTubers. And I'm like, well, this is interesting. He usually doesn't do this kind of stuff. But I had a hunch what it might be about, so I watched it. And lo and behold, he thanks 3 YouTubers. The first person he thanks, I honestly don't know anything about, so I'm not really going to talk about him or her. But the other 2 is not surprising at all. Actually, one isn't. The other one is still kind of surprising. He also thanks WeenieProductions, which isn't surprising considering WeenieProductions has now made a little career off of YouTube, basically becoming one of the main forces in the anti-angry video game nerd group, and basically gaining subs off of that, which is fine. He's allowed to do that. The only problem is most of his videos are factually flawed and basically mostly contain just half-truths, and he doesn't decide to prove almost any of his points. But I digress. But the next person that Irate Gamer thanks actually kind of surprised me a bit, and is the main reason I'm making this video. He thanked the Archfiend. He thanked the Archfiend, and I'm like, wow, really? He thanked the Archfiend when Archfiend basically made a career off of YouTube, basically eviscerating the Irate Gamer. I mean, just tore him a new one. And I've agreed with a lot of Archfiend's old videos about that. So it's kind of weird that Irate Gamer is now thanking him. But then again, it dawned on me why. Because ever since this whole fake Cheetahmen 2 scandal, yes, because guess what, boys and girls, it's now fake because it is not a scam, and it never was. But ever since that whole thing started last summer of 2012, Irate Gamer decided to go, you know what? I'm going to take this opportunity to try and get heat off of me and try to capitalize on this whole situation. And he did. He made his little spoof video, which I've already talked about in my other video. Which is the whole point of his video, is that AVGN was e-begging, but guess what? He wasn't. He wasn't begging for anything because he wasn't asking for anything. But once again, I digress. Little points like that kind of go over certain people's heads. But the funny thing is that, and I noticed during that Archfiend liked his e-begging spoof video, and I'm like, wow, that's kind of interesting, because Archfiend made a lot of videos attacking the Irate Gamer. But Archfiend is kind of a person who is like a flavor of the month person. Like, if he hates someone more than someone else that he's hated before, he'll defend the first person he's hated. I mean, he recently has just done it with DSP Gaming, also known as Phil. He's just recently did that to him. So Archfiend's kind of like that flavor of the month type person. But I never thought it would get to this level, and I'm going to get into that in a second. But basically, Irate Gamer thanked them for supporting him and making these videos basically attacking the angry video gamer. Now the funny thing, and this goes with Archfiend, Weenie, and even Irate Gamer, is that for most of their videos, they don't want to mention AVGN by name. They call him you-know-who, or Archfiend made up stupid little childish names. You know, it's pretty funny that your 30-something, 40-something, and you come up with these little elementary school names. I just find that kind of odd. I just really do. But they don't want to mention AVGN by name, which is kind of weird because they spent months and months and months making numerous videos after video after video, basically attacking the Angry Video Game Nerd and, of course, mentioning him by name. So why are they not now just going, oh, he who shall not be named? Well, guess what, people? All three of you, we know who you're talking about. Nobody is stupid. We know who you're talking about. So why are you even bothering to do it? It's really, really childish. It really just is childish. But then again, this whole situation is kind of boiled due to childish actions like using no factual evidence to prove your points, just spouting off random bullcrap just to try to get attention. But it's what you guys normally do. But and then after I watched the video, I was wondering, well, I wonder how Archfiend is going to respond to this. Is he going to completely switch positions? Completely switch positions on everything that he supposedly stood for. Well, he made a video, and I watched most of it, because the other part of it was about Nostalgia Critic, and I don't really care about his opinions about that. But he, for the most part, went back on everything that he supposedly stood for. Now, I know in the video that he's like, oh no, I still stand by everything that I stated in the past, which is kind of funny. So basically, you eviscerated Chris Bohr, saying that he was a complete fraud, basically calling him almost every name in the book, doing everything you can to take him down, but just because he made one good video, and then made a good shout-out video to you, he's a cool dude. Really. You expect your subscribers and all the other people on YouTube to just believe that you spent years trying to take this guy down, and all of a sudden, just because of 2 videos and a private conversation, that all of a sudden everything's cool now. Every single thing is cool. Even though you supposedly still stand by everything that you've stated in the past. That's hilarious. It really is to me. To me, this stuff like this is hilarious. But it's fine. You're allowed to have opinions. Everyone is allowed to have an opinion. You're allowed to have an opinion. I'm allowed to have an opinion. The difference is that I'm not going around, and other people aren't going around, spouting off random bullcrap with no evidence whatsoever. And I kind of find it funny how Irate Gamer is now trying to capitalize off of this whole AVGN hate movement when he had many, many, many opportunities to defend himself ever since he started in 2007, and yet never did. Just resorting to blocking people and disabling comments, which, by the way, his older videos, the comments are still disabled, even though he supposedly is a new man, and that he enables comments now, which he does. The comments on his old videos are still disabled. I'd just like to point that out. Then again, Archfiend is not any different from doing things like that. He blocks people all the time. He does. Of course, the funny thing is that Weenie are big proponents of free speech and how AVGN fanboys are trying to censor them and take them down. When Archfiend blocks people all the freaking time. Just for disagreeing with him. To me, something like that's amusing. It really is. But I just found that really fascinating that he just completely throws away all of his beliefs and everything that basically made him on YouTube. Just to strum up controversy now. I just find that fascinating, and fascinating that some of his subs, I'm not going to say all of them, but some of his subs will just go along with it and it's okay. And to me, ultimate hypocrisy is not okay. But last but not least, let's go to MrWeenieProductions. Now, difference between him and Archfiend is that Mr. Weenie never really went after Irate Gamer as hardcore as Archfiend is. So he's not that kind of a hypocrite. But he's still a hypocrite in the sense that, once again, he's a big proponent of how you shouldn't be using controversies and using, let's say, events to get attention, to get money, but yet that's what he's doing with the whole AVGN thing. Now, it's one thing to make maybe 1 or 2 videos talking about it, giving your opinion, but he's made at least, I think, 10 or 11 videos. And I think it's more than that. I haven't looked at them all. But it's just been going on for months, and he's just beating a dead horse. Why? Because he probably has noticed that he's been getting subs and attention from it. So, why not put ads on the videos and make some money off of it while giving my supposed opinion? But the main point I want to harp at with his, and Weenie made a video about this too, thanking Irate Gamer. But the main thing I want to talk about with that is that he once again is saying that who really started this whole situation between Irate Gamer and he who will not be named, which is the Angry Video Game Nerd. You might as well just say it, buddy. We know who it is. We know who you're talking about. We're not stupid. And he's once again, no evidence whatsoever. He's basically insinuating that AVGN started this whole situation with Irate Gamer and the whole war between AVGN and Irate Gamer. Which, by the way, I'd like to point out, there was no war. There was a war between AVGN fans and Irate Gamer. James, unlike a lot of you supposed adults, doesn't start YouTube drama. He doesn't get involved in it. Why? Because it's not important to him. It really isn't. And stuff like this is stupid and petty. So yeah, there was no, he couldn't have started it because he doesn't involve himself in this stuff. But I'm open to evidence. If Weenie or anybody wants to give me evidence, they're more than welcome to. But once again, he says it and doesn't provide a lick of evidence. Weenie, if you expect people to believe you, I mean, if you really do, you have to back up some of your points. But you really don't. You really don't back up your points when it comes to James. But once again, it's not surprising because you're trying to leech off of Archfiend making videos about this. So, I just find that fascinating. That it's still going on even to this day when this has been proven not to be a scam. It has. Ultimately proven. But, so, yeah, and honestly, I think I might have found the ultimate hypocrites of YouTube. I don't think you can really get more hypocritical than what I just saw here. If there is, I'd like to see it because I think that would be really, really something.